Thinking about moving to Toronto? Well, here's the deal. Toronto is not for everybody. If you are considering moving to or from Toronto, I have compiled a pros and cons list that you may find very beneficial. You will not believe some of the considerations people have about living in this city. And after watching this video, you will know for sure if Toronto is right for you. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Tamish Multani and I help people buy and sell real estate here in the city of Toronto, and I've lived in the city's core for the last decade. On this channel, I talk all about what it's like living in Toronto. And if you're thinking about buying a home in Toronto, I've included a free report below that goes over 7 crucial mistakes that home buyers make when making a purchase that causes them to lose out on their dream home. If you want this free report, it will be in the description below. So earlier this year, I had a friend who contacted me and they were looking to move to the city, but they were on the fence and they told me to basically shoot them straight and tell them if they should or not. So I gave them 5 reasons to consider. If you don't like walking, then you are definitely not gonna like living in Toronto. Toronto is like a walker's paradise. You can literally go do your daily errands, you can go shopping, you can go hang out with your friends, you can go to parks, you can do whatever you want, and you can live your entire life without having a car. In the suburbs, it's typically a requirement to have a car. If you're going to work, you're going to work in a car. If you're going to the gym, you're going in a car. If you are going to your friend's house, oftentimes if they don't live right next door, you're gonna need a car to get there. Toronto's not like that. If you don't have a car, you're probably gonna be fine. I have a car and I still find it hard to go a day in Toronto without having to walk at least a block. Let's say you wanna live in Toronto and you do wanna have a car. Then in that case, it can honestly be pretty difficult at times. Traffic congestion is a big consideration. It can honestly be pretty frustrating at times as well. There's been many times where I'm going 3 kilometers across the city from east to west end, and it takes me more than 40 minutes just because of the amount of traffic, bad driving, and everything else along the way. There are specific parts of getting onto the Gardiner that are so hard during rush hour. Parking is also a hassle, but it's not impossible to navigate. It's just very expensive, and there's certain times where you're just spinning around looking for parking, hoping for the best. For example, if you're looking for parking in the financial district, you're probably gonna end up spending more than $20 for the whole day. There's places where you're spending $5 for 30 minutes. And let's not forget the amount of construction that goes on in Toronto. The amount of wear and tear these roads get, there's always gonna be construction going around. This is something that is not gonna go away. You're gonna have to live with it, and it can be unpredictable at times. So just be prepared that if you plan to have a car in the city, it can be pretty expensive and hard to navigate with at times. Toronto is always growing, it's always improving, and there's always so much going on. Currently, we have some massive projects such as the Portlands, which is basically a new neighborhood on basically a man-made island. There's the Well that was just completed, which was a $1.4 billion development. There is One Pinnacle, which is changing the Toronto skyline. There is so much going on in the city all the time. So many projects going on all the time that it would take its own video to go through them and break them down. If you're someone who likes to save, then Toronto is definitely not gonna be the city for you. Toronto is damn expensive and you are gonna feel it. From shopping to eating out to everything in between, you're gonna be spending a lot of money. If you're looking to rent something in Toronto or even purchase a home, it can also be very expensive. Now, there are arguments to be made that if you are living in a condo, you have less furniture to buy, you have no lawn to maintain, you may not even need a car to buy or care about car insurance, which ends up lowering your cost of living down as well. But let's not forget all the other things that make Toronto so expensive, especially since the pandemic. What ends up making Toronto more expensive, in my personal opinion, is the lifestyle that you live, and you end up just naturally having to spend money if you're living life in Toronto. You may end up having to compromise on your quality, size, location of your lifestyle. And ending off 2023, entering into 2024, these are the real estate prices that you can expect to pay for if you want to buy something, and these are the prices that you can expect to pay if you're looking to rent something. When you're in a city, you're walking around, you're exploring, it's always nice to have things that are paid for by the city and maintained by the city as well, that you have complete free access to. You'll be able to find a lot of parks, trails, tennis courts, basketball courts, baseball courts, things like that throughout the city that you have complete access to. The city has a lot of community centers and libraries as well. And with the city's healthcare, we have specialized care that you really can't find anywhere else in Canada. Some of the hospitals here are also affiliated with some of the top universities here, such as the University of Toronto. And then there's also leading edge research being done at these hospitals, which ends up having a trickle down effect to get faster care as well. Something pretty cool about the city is there's a bike share program. You pay $100 for the entire year. You get it for either 30 minutes or 45 minutes before you have to dock back on. But these are literally littered all throughout the city and a lot of fun to use in the summer. It's also great to be able to hop on any transit option with the tap of a credit card, hop off any moment. The subway system seems to be very small, but believe it or not, it is very efficient. The largest streetcar system anywhere in the Americas. If you don't have access to the subway or streetcar, there is also a massive bus network. And the coolest part about the transit system in Toronto is how easy it is to actually hop on and off. There are so many times where I'm going somewhere, I get tired or I find that I'm running late. I'll hop on the subway or streetcar. All you need to do is tap your phone or a credit card. You paid for it, you sit, and get off whenever you want. There's also the UP Express, which is a great option for people who are traveling between Pearson and Union Station. Despite having a transit system in the city, it's currently severely lacking in a lot of areas. You can see here that the customer satisfaction rate is near an all-time low. And outside of rush hour, these systems can be very efficient, but if something goes wrong and a streetcar stops in the middle of the track, there can be a lot of congestion and is really bad news for passengers. Now, this is one of my favorite parts about living in the city. There are so many cool, diverse neighborhoods here and truly so much to explore. There's a vast amount of retail options. There's so many cool places to live here, all with their own unique personalities and characteristics. The city does a really good job of having these areas that feel very much like a community, but also very well connected to the rest of the city. It's really cool to live in a city with people from all around the world with so many different perspectives. It's also really cool to be part of the city when something big is happening and everybody is unionizing towards one common goal. These are a few videos of when the Raptors won the championship a few years ago, and as you can see, the whole city was going bonkers. This was Yonge and Dundas, and it was crazy. Depending on who you ask about how dangerous Toronto is, you're gonna get drastically different answers, and it all depends on your lived experiences. I don't think Toronto is a dangerous city, but Toronto is a big city and you never know when things can happen. I think that the scale and size of Toronto will automatically have lots of safety concerns, and there's plenty of instances of petty and violent crime. Plus, there's plenty of areas in the city, especially in the downtown core, where people don't like walking at night. There's also a sizable homeless population here, but the main concern with that is really getting them adequate service and basic necessities. There's also an alarmingly high homicide rate here. Toronto has literally no shortage of things to do. And this is truly where Toronto shines as a major city. Home to major sports teams such as the Raptors, Blue Jays, Leafs. There are events such as the International Film Festival, the CNE, Christmas markets all over. There's a vibrant nightlife here and so many bars and restaurants to explore. And Toronto is so diverse with its food. You can truly explore this city as a foodie, whether you're in the mood for street food, takeout, dining, and also a lot of takeout options. If you don't like people, you may not want to move here. Toronto is a really loud and big city. There's lots of people that don't want to be in a place that's so busy and hard to navigate. The grand population also makes it so it's very difficult to find housing at an affordable price. It's also not only expensive, but just a challenge getting housing in the first place. So these were my condensed pros and cons for living in the city of Toronto. I hope this helps you make an informed decision on whether the city of Toronto is right for you or not. If you want to get in touch with me, all of my contact information will be in the description below. Subscribe for my next YouTube video where I will get into all of the best neighborhoods to live in the city. These will be the most desirable and sought after neighborhoods in the city. So if you're interested, subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next one.